Hello, good evening everybody. Welcome along to JACKOCAR for the season finale of Season 1, Round 16 here at China. This is what it's all built up to, the five-man showdown for the title. I'm your commentator Owen Wyatt, with me, big man Jacko. This is it.
Finally, six months of planning, 3 months of racing, Owen. It's championship day. We're finally here. 5 drivers go at it tonight. First across the line is your world champion. Those drivers are Khalifa, Thomas, Pete, Jordan, and MK Bourne.
Yes, and for once it's actually simple. For once I have to figure out, Jacko, please tell me exactly what's going on. We can just say, first across the line wins it, and it makes it a lot easier to follow, thank goodness. But to help us with that, just in case we do get a bit stuck, we've got a special guest in the commentary box. As you can see, we've only got 19 drivers. That means we've got a third commentator. That man being Ginger Andy. Welcome. Well, obviously, I mean, we've got Khalifa. Khalifa's been the guy most of the season, and he's always been the guy that you'd expect to win, but there's obviously 5 here, and they've all done good jobs to get here. They've all had stand-up performances, particularly TC in recent weeks. As we said, we've gone over this so many times before. TC came into the playoffs 10th place, just about scraped in there. He had such an unlucky season, and he was the cause of that massive pilot. You might have saw it on Twitter earlier. From Belgium, but really since then he's come on really strong. He's won 2 races and he has put himself right up in contention with this, and so honestly right now it's probably going to be between Khalifa and TC. Also, you want to see an underdog story, and TC would be a proper good underdog story. With him as well, you've also got Jordan. This is a problem as TC gets the first time of the night. There's just so many people in that top 5. They all have a very, very good chance. It's just about how they get around this track. It's such a difficult one as well, very unique, but I'm sure they've all practiced enough. I'm sure they'll be fine. It's really more about how they deal with the safety cars and all the chaos that you tend to get in these races.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Khalifa, from the very start, from when sign-ups happened, he has been the favourite on paper. He's been the fastest on track. He's won more races than anybody else, more pole positions. But this is China. Anything can happen, and we've seen it. You mentioned safety cars, Andy. We've probably had more than most other leagues with the contact rule that we allow. So just anything can happen tonight. TC, the form man. Khalifa won the last race. Pete needs a big result. Jordan, the outsider, much like MK Bourne, but I wouldn't rule them out because of safety cars, because it's China, so much on the line. Pressure, nerves, everything, it could just get to them, and we may just end up with a shock result.
Well, one of the rules in this league is a two-stop. It's a mandatory two-stop. Some people would have been able to use jokers earlier in the season. That would have allowed them to do a one-stop, but they've all used their joker by now. So it's all about two-stopping, which means you'll get more racing. Everyone will qualify on the soft. It's whether they do 2 soft stints and a medium, or maybe 2 medium stints and a soft, or whatever happens, especially with safety cars, as you say, because you can get them early on. You'd see, obviously, a stream of people come to the pits. I think we saw safety cars last week help out Khalifa particularly, because he started, what, 19th when he won the thing? So
yeah, he had a qualifying ban and a 10-second penalty to add on from the stewards from the previous race, and how on earth he did that, I don't think we'll ever find out, but safety cars certainly played a small factor in that.
Absolutely. I mean, especially here, we've seen it in recent weeks get much closer. At the start of the season, it was actually quite separated. It was, a few seconds from the top to the back. But nowadays, at the front anyway, at the top 10, you see it gets super close. And yeah, it's put a lot more pressure on qualifying. And today more than ever, it really is already feeling tense. I have no idea what the drivers are going to be doing on their final laps, but I'm very much interested to see. We've got a few more now out on their out laps, preparing to start. I think OKK's currently on his, so we'll follow him on, because another thing for these top 5 to think about is, what if you get some outsiders have a really good qualifying lap, get themselves to the front early on, because that tends to be what actually causes all the problems, is when the top runners get stuck in the midfield or have midfielders around them out of position. That is something to think about as well, so they really have got to get everything hooked up. As OKK there goes P10.
And that's something we have seen a fair bit of this season. The fast guys stuck behind the slow guys, no disrespect to them, of course. Even Japan as well, but you'd like to think Championship Day, the cream should rise to the top. Whoever wins it, they will deserve it.
Just got to say, by the way, have you got your voice on share, Andy? Apparently they can't hear you. Obviously I can hear you, and obviously Jack can hear you, but I don't think Rescue can hear you.
I don't know why Andy's apologising, because
he's apologising to no one, so I'll apologise on his behalf.
Oh, Andy's big intro, and it's all gone wrong.
What a disaster. Oh well, you can say hello again. While you sort all that out, we've got Pete there on his lap. Very lovely livery, must be said, on his car. And
well,
can we hear you now?
I'm back, folks. Yeah, you can hear me. I think you can. I hope you can. I must apologise to everyone. I tried to apologise a moment ago, but you couldn't hear me. But yeah, sorry about that, folks. Didn't have my voice shared. That's what happens when you've not been doing much commentary for a while on the PlayStation. You change your settings and then you forget. But yeah, good to be here, folks. Glad to be here in the commentary box for this one. And yeah, it's looking like it's going to be a really exciting end to qualifying on, isn't it?
Absolutely. Like I say, we've got Pete on his lap already. We've got all the front runners out there at the minute, starting to get times on the board again. And at the minute, Khalifa, like I say, he's equal top. So all he has to do is make a thousandth of a second, get himself up there. But Pete is nearing the end of his lap, so we'll see what he can do in, as I say, a very eye-catching livery. All the top 5, they've all got brown. We'll look at those on the formation lap again, as we usually do. But I think I promised Pete that I'd give him livery of the week this week, as he goes up to the top.
Fastest, yeah.
And yeah, so I guess he wins that, but as you should probably know at this point, I'll give it to many people, so you'll see anyway later on.
Well, here comes Khalifa round the final corner. Is he going to go and topple that top time, as it looks like he might? Oh, it's so close between he and Speed Knight, and only a tenth of a second, more like half a tenth. TC is also out there, and he's half a second up on his previous best, going by the timing screen. So TC, with one more corner to go, pushing to try and get up in towards the the top 4. Half a second will put him up to 4th. Can he go even quicker and challenge the guys at the front? TC for the line. Oh, he can. He goes up to 3rd place. And there's only a 10th covering the top 3 now. Incredible stuff. That's what we love to see, isn't it?
It's not even top 3, it's the top 4 that are separated by under 9/100 of a second. And TC, do you know what he did there? He derated massively out of the final corner. That's what's cost him. They've got to be careful with that. Because we'll see that Splinter does the same thing, because he's currently tracking P1. He's got a very handy system as well from Cloud.
Yeah, here he comes. He was around a 10th up in that over the second sector, so around a 10th of a second might be enough to put him onto pole position. So Splinter coming up towards the final corner. Is he going to jump ahead of the 3 drivers, or 3 of the 5 contending for this title today? It looks like he's got a great chance of it. He does, and lowers the bar significantly further. The first man into the 1 minute 30s, a 1:30.855, and the cat is amongst the pigeons here in JACKOCAR, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's worth pointing out, Splinter is teammates with TC, so really play a part in that and try and help him out later on in the race, and try and get in the way of Pete and Khalifa.
Also, we pointed out that we've already lost Arno. I don't quite know what happened there. As soon as it started the final sector, something's gone wrong. He's out of qualifying. I guess you'll have to stick with that time. He should probably still stay relatively high at the grid, just won't be able to get a final run in.
It's all part of his playoff implosion, which is continuously ever since Baku.
It's been a total disaster, hasn't it?
And no form in the last 5 races. It continues here in China qualifying.
Like I say, luckily he's got a time up there. I mean, he can still certainly put himself in amongst all the chaos later on. And there was a collision there in the pit lane there. TC hit someone. Luckily, I think there was a bit of ghosting or possibly even lag doing that, but no damage done. MK Bourne, it was he ran into, and he's currently running 7th at the moment. Could do with getting himself a little bit higher up. And then again, Jordan, his best lap so far is on mediums. So we've still got a bit more to see from him, unless he actually fancies trying to get into the top 10 with mediums. You could do that with his grid. We know quite a lot of the grid tend to maybe not do much in qualifying, but if he does that, that could really change things.
Yeah, well, it's difficult. It's an interesting decision to have gone onto those medium tyres. I'm pretty sure this is a track where there's quite a difference in the tyre compounds, and especially in that middle sector where you really have to, you're really looking for some front end grip. So things not going to plan at the minute for Jordan. We'll see if he does tend to do it on those tyres. But given that after the man in 9th place, he's got a massive gap to 8th, I don't think he'll be any higher than 9th in the grid if he tries it. So whether that's the right decision or not, we'll have to wait and see. But I don't know about you guys, but I think with safety cars, it almost makes it pointless for me going on the other tyres. Just go in the softs, make that pit stop, and then again, maybe I'm wrong. If you pit early and a safety car comes out, you've got that slower tyre out the way. So we'll have to wait and see how it works out for John. But it certainly looks like he's committing to the harder compounds. He was on the hard earlier in the session. He's now done a lap on the mediums. Let's see how it pans out for him. And you guys touching on it. He's one of the outsiders here. Maybe doing something different is the way to go for him to win. Maybe he feels if he tries to match the other guys on strategy, it might not work out for him. So perhaps a clever idea from Jordan to try this. We'll have to see how it pans out though.
I think you're dead right, Andy. He's got to try something different. And MK Bourne as well, I think he's another one of those drivers. He could win it, but he's a little bit more of an outsider. I've just read in the team chat, the AI racing team chat, he's asking for a slipstream on his final lap here. So that he needs something. He's 4 positions behind his nearest rival. But I just don't know. I think the top 3 are near enough settled. It may well be a battle between them for this race.
Well, we'll have to wait and see, but MK Bourne at desperate times call for desperate measures, and perhaps a slipstream is all he needs to propel him up towards the front. We know that this game is so powerful when it comes to the slipstream, and especially down that over 1 kilometre long straight, one of the longest sections of straight flat out in Formula 1. So will MK Bourne elect to do that? Will he get the slipstream from his teammate that might help him push him up the order? I mean, it's asking a lot to find nearly half a second, probably more than half a second to get up with the top 4, but who knows, maybe it will be enough to get him ahead of perhaps Arno, who's already out, and ILRT Cloud as well, and really push him into the bracket with the guys he is fighting for this championship with, which is so important. So I'll have to wait and see what happens with MK Bourne. Let's see if there's anyone out there, Owen, on a quick lap at the minute. It looks like the main protagonists are all on out laps though.
Yep, you're right there. We've got Cloud currently on a lap, but I think he had a big slide on the exit of turn 3. and that could well have hindered his lap, but we'll watch the end of it anyway, because everyone else, as you say, is on an idle lap, apart from a couple here start, but none of the main protagonists at the moment on a lap. Clyde up to the final corner. He could, if this is a good lap, put himself in the mix and try and mess about with those main protagonists. We've already lost Jordan. He is now fully committed. Clyde did not improve. TC is on to his final lap here. Can he put his car onto pole position? The lovely gold and white car. Let's see what he can do.
Yeah, it's a cracking livery, that, isn't it? Livery, I should say. I can never say that word right for some reason. But anyway, TC, 4th quickest at the minute, first sector, 100th up then. So he needs to find a little bit more, but every 100th is key, because there really is not much between the 3 contenders. Splinter at the minute, though, is way out in front by a good 0.2 of a second, but if TC can try and nab ahead of the likes of Knighton and Khalifa, that would really, really help his championship aspirations. Through the middle part of the lap, he gets onto the curb and then gets on the throttle as soon as he can to head down to that 2nd sector beam. Let's have a look at the top right hand of the screen. Oh, he's down by a 10th and a bit, and that is not good for the Belgian driver. He's going to need an absolutely almighty final part of the lap if he wants to do anything about the likes of Knighting and Khalifa, isn't he, Owen?
He was understeering as well through turn 13. This is not looking good. The checker flag is out as well, so this is his only opportunity as OKK moves off onto the grass to get out of his way. If he doesn't derate, there's still a 10 for 2 to find on that final run to the finish line. But we'll see. Here he comes in towards the final corner. He is going to derate. He's not saved anything. So he's going to just have to hope and pray that he's been able to make any time up in that last sector. Doesn't seem likely though, and he does not improve on his time. Khalifa's also coming around the last corner. Where's he going to go? He was down in the middle sector. Did he get a toe? He did. P2. Here comes Pete. He's up by over a 1/4 of a second. And he goes P1.
Pole position.
But look at Splinter. He's up on all of them. He's flying around, as you say. NK Bourne's only gone P6 at the moment. Not good for him. And Jordan is still in the top 10 on those tyres. And he just falls outside there now. But Splinter, big slide. And he doesn't improve. It was invalid in the end.
He cut the final corner there, and he invalidated.
Look at for KK Mom, Cam K Mom, he's finding a good bit of time. It might not be enough to go up to the front, but it might lift him ahead of the likes of MK Bourne. Oh, it's a hit TC as well, a 31-0, and that is a big blow for TC to find another car getting ahead of his championship rivals. And Khalifa then third. Cam came on with a brilliant lap, finding 8 full tenths of a second to go 4th quickest. But the story here in qualifying is Pete Speed Knighton has taken the bull by the horns and is on top here in qualifying on.
Absolutely, but this time he's got to make sure he doesn't bottle it. So many times we've seen him at the front and make mistakes. This is the one day he has to absolutely get this right. He's got Splinter behind. Splinter's not a title contender, which you'd think in the first sense, oh, that's a good thing, you haven't got a title contender beside you, you've got a bit of breathing room. That just means he's got nothing to lose, and when he's got so much pace, and he would have been fastest if he didn't invalidate that time, he is going to be absolutely out for blood today. He could be Pete's biggest nightmare. But here is the grid for the Chinese Grand Prix, the season finale. Pete on pole from Splinter, Khalifa, Cam, TC, Arno, Dexter, NK Bourne, Clyde and Whiteout, the top 10. They'll all start on the sauce. Jordan just missed out on those mediums at 11. Then you got OKK, Risky, Camu Babo, Yuri, Frenegamu, Jess, Indecisive and Mr. John at the back. Probably wouldn't have qualified if it was a real race. Thank goodness he is in a virtual race.
For Jordan, he's got that free choice of tyre, so he can have better soft if he wants to, or he can, like we were saying, try something different, medium, maybe hard if he wants to, and just see where the first safety car comes out.
Yeah, I think what Jordan will be quite happy with that. I think, you know, getting the fresher tyre, losing one place for a couple of lap fresher tyres, I think it's worth taking that, isn't it? So yeah, I think that's about where he'd want to be, trying that strategy if he didn't feel he could qualify in the top 5 or 6, which it never looked likely going throughout the session. So let's see what Jordan does. Hard tyre, probably more unlikely given that the 2-stop is what you've got to do, or two-stop minimum. So I'm sure it will be a medium tyre, otherwise it would just make no sense qualifying on the mediums in the first place. So surely Jordan will go for the mediums. We'll see what everyone outside the top 10 does as well. But what a qualifying lap there from Pete to stick it on pole position. It did look like he was going to get toppled, but no, an invalidated final corner ensured that didn't happen. But yeah, it's going to be quite the exciting race. I'm looking forward to this. I love this format. It's unique, something totally different, and I'm looking forward to seeing how it pans out. And you know, I think this is going to be very exciting.
Absolutely, I can't wait for this one. Risky has had issues. He's not on the grid. He might just have rejoined there, but his car isn't there, so he's not taking part in the final race, unfortunately. Right then, let's see what tyres everyone's on, and after that we'll give them all a wee look on their liveries, as we always do. We've got two on mediums.
This is your big moment, son. This is where you get to choose the best livery this season.
I know. What am I going to do? First of all, tyres. Jordan and Risky are starting on mediums. I know Risky's name is there, but he hasn't got a car, so only one medium runner at the start. Then you've got Frenegamu and Indecisive. They're going to try something different, and they're going to be on the hard compound tyres. Right then, so I already said that Pete was going to get livery of the week because I said I promised him, and it's actually been better than last week's livery, so he'll win it regardless. That's good for him. There are so many good liveries out there. I know Khalifa, he's mixed his good livery from last time to his earlier horrendous livery from the start of the season and made a nice one. Good to see. Minty Boy returns with Cam. You love to see that. I'm very much a fan of that one still. Well, it's a bit biased, I can't lie. But yeah. Also Splinter, he's still kept that Alpha type livery. Has he changed that once this season? I swear he's kept that the whole way through.
Yeah, he ran a Black Lives Matter livery in Canada last week.
Right, okay. So apart from that then, he's kept the same livery. I guess you got to stick with what works. Still a massive fan of TC's livery, but I can see in the background now we've got an HWA there of Arno, that's what I'm going to dub that. And then look at Dexter, he's really gone and changed it up again, hasn't he? He's kept the same colours as he had before, but he's somehow managed to make it better. I said he could have made that livery better. I've been proven a bit wrong there. NK Bourne has swapped the ILRT yellow for just gold, which very nice. If he can win the title with that one, that would look pretty nice. I can see that Whitey's got a lovely livery, but he's also extremely laggy. I hope he doesn't cause any issues on the start. Clyde's livery, same with the British Racing Green. He's got the same sort of idea as Dexter, very nice. And yeah, as we know about Whitey's livery, I've mentioned it many times. Jordan, has that livery changed in the last couple of days? I know we had his preview, that's wearing a bit of a different one.
Changed ever so slightly. He says he's resembling Bournemouth colours in honour of me. Being the Bournemouth fan that I am.
That doesn't end well, does it? Let's be honest.
No, he's going to get relegated and not win the title with that one.
Absolute disaster, that is. OKK still hasn't gone back to his status GP colours. Shame. But I still like that one. I still like it a bit. Kamibabo, he's had those since Singapore, those colours. Very nice. Yuri, has he got a different colour scheme as well there? Bit of pink in the mix, liking that too. We've got Frenegamu as per usual with the ugly livery, but it's unironically actually not that ugly anymore compared to what it used to be. Jess still has her same livery, Indecisive still has a very nice livery. Mr. John too. I'll say the best one is Pete's, and we'll just be happy with that, but also Dexter's is very nice. But anyway, enough of talking about liveries. We've got Round 16, the season finale. It's all built up to this one. We've got 5 drivers in the title fight. This could be anyone's day. We know how difficult this league is to win in, and this is one of the most difficult turn ones of the season. We've got Pete on the right, we've got Splinter on the left, and for the final time this season, boogity boogity boogity, let's go racing in China. And it looks like a good start from Pete. Can he keep the lead into turn 1? Looks like Khalifa's also had a pretty good start. He's up to second already. On the inside there's a collision, they're going to spin, and can Khalifa save it? He can. They both save it. They've got away with murder there, and there's a bit more concept behind. TC up into the top 3 already, and we've got a few cars going wide in the background, and Khalifa, as we've seen so many times, in an incident.
Well, absolutely crazy start there from Khalifa. He really went for it there. What a great start off the lane initially, but he got a rush of blood going into that turn 1. Tried to make the move, and it did not work out at all. I'm not too sure if he has got wing damage, but Knighton is sprinting off into the distance with Splinter second, and TC third, and Khalifa does have damage, and things not looking good for one of the championship favourites, if not the favourite for it.
He's got Cam all over him. He's going to be losing so much time, especially in turn 13. He might end up sailing off the track. He'll have no choice but to pit, surely. And he's going to be in such big trouble. He's weaving along, trying to break the toe, but he's not going to be quick enough. And this is holding the whole pack up. MK Board's going to want to get through this as quickly as possible. Jordan has still stayed in his P11, but he's looking to try and make some moves now, because Whiteout's gone a bit wide there. We've already got a whole second advantage at the front for Pete as Khalifa starts to plummet through the grid. There's a car in Narnia there. I think it's Yuri. He's going to come back on. He's okay, but look at the run these guys have now got on Cam. Khalifa is going to fall back, but now we've got MK Board trying to run outside. That's a massive issue. Massive issue. And now it's only Cam taken out of that one. MK Bourne can still keep going. He's got no damage either, but Dexter in massive trouble there. That was just completely misjudging the braking zone, and Pete has taken the pit stop, as is Khalifa. as is Arnold, as you say, yeah, VSC.
Yep.
So Splinter leads the race. Canada's got a penalty. Will this be looked at after the race? You might get a bit more action on it. I guess there's not really much you can do though, man. After the race, Cam's one is sitting in his pin. We haven't got any more races to worry about. But Pete has pitted. He's on the mediums. Will this be the right choice? We'll find out later on. But VSC has stayed out the whole lap, the whole time he's been in the pits. So we really should gain out of it. We'll see.
Well, this is massive. This is massive for Knighton. It's helped him an absolute treat. It's also helped Khalifa slightly get out of a bit of trouble there. But will there be in a lot of traffic? That's what remains to be seen, and that could be affecting them. You never know. You said already this season that Pete has made a few mistakes when in good positions as we do eventually go green. So he's got to just keep his nose clean now, Pete. Everything is going to plan for him so far. Pole position, and now getting the early pit stop, buying a free stop under the VSC. He just needs to keep his nose clean when he catches the traffic ahead, and he should have this under control. But in JACKOCAR, with so much going on, the likelihood of safety cars, you never know. But surely Pete has just got to keep his nose clean, and things will be really good for him. He's already in a strong position. He doesn't want to throw this away, but that early pit stop will help him a lot, an awful lot.
I don't think though he could come up on 4 worse cars to try and pass. He's got Jess up ahead on the sauce, and he's got the 2 hard runners, an Indecisive and Frenagamu. We know how much of a handful them two can be. And then you got Mr. John at the front of all that. That's a train of 4 cars that he's going to have to try and pass, and that could be extremely difficult.
Mr. John, one of the very best defenders in the league as well.
Yeah.
Also, just touching on that, I don't think you guys quite saw it, but Khalifa picked up his damage when he went side by side with TC in turn 2 on lap 1 there.
So that's what happened there. So contact between 2 championship rivals there. Contact. Well, Khalifa making contact first of all into the first corner with Knighton, and then with TC. So things not going well for him. But speaking of TC though, 6 tenths behind Splinter, right up behind him, and perhaps going to try and make a move sometime soon, or maybe just sit there and try and get dragged along by the speedy Splinter, who, on paper, arguably was the quickest driver in qualifying if he didn't invalidate on that final lap. So what's TC's plan from here? Does he just stick with the back of Splinter and try and get a tow along? Perhaps that's all he can do at the minute, because he doesn't want to go battling, because he'll lose time to the guys that have already pitted, the likes of Knighton and the likes of Khalifa. He'll be hoping that Knighton gets in the fight with Jess, and that's exactly what he's about to start doing now. And look at Knighton already having to slow down behind Indecisive and Jess, and he's gone wide. He's made a mistake. The rear end sliding. Is he going to go right into a spin? Not quite, but wow, already Knighton feeling the pressure. And as I said, you don't want to make any mistakes. Just take your time, find a way through, don't pick up any damage, because of course we've run simulation in this league, and any slight touch with someone will result in damage. So Knighton there, being cautious, perhaps overcautious, caught out by how slow the cars in front were going, made a mistake, but thankfully gets away with it, Owen.
Yeah, and now here comes Jordan. He's trying to get himself past Whiteout, who's off in Narnia. That'll be P4 for him. He's really making good grinds on these mediums at the minute. He'll get to do 2 soft runs at the minute at the end of the race, so you've really got to keep an eye on him still. But yeah, we've got, as I said, Pete, when there's slower cars ahead, it's so difficult for him to get past, and he's already succumbed to the pressure. If he makes one more of these mistakes, this is the second time in the race he's been fully sideways, he's going to be in trouble. And Jess, I think, is pitted. And now
and he got past Matt at the final turn there, so just throw over in Mr. John to go, who are battling in turn 2 as it stands. Obviously Pete lost all that time. He was right on the back of them at one point until that little bit of a moment he had behind Jess.
Yeah, he actually, I've just had a look at the sector times there. He lost 4 seconds, did Pete, on that lap with his slide and getting stuck in the traffic. That's just how much it hurt him. He'll be hoping it didn't hurt him too much with the likes of TC and MK Barn and Jordan up in clean air further up the road. But that's a key factor. Jordan has had a fantastic start to this Grand Prix. He's avoided all the trouble on the medium tyre. And as you mentioned, Owen, of course 2 stops is mandatory in this league. He will get 2 runs on the soft compound tyre, and that could really help him towards the end of the race, especially if there's a safety car at any point to bunch the field up and everyone else ends up on the other tyres. So Jordan playing himself into this nicely indeed, isn't he?
Yeah, absolutely. What a time now to really get his form up. He hasn't won a single race all season. He was a reserve at the earlier points of the season, and he's somehow managed to get into the finale. And he's really having performance of the season at the minute for himself, because he's made this work. He's getting himself out of trouble. He can still see the leader. And again, if he gets a safety car, obviously we know that Pete and the likes as Splinter and TC pit, you know, safety cars is what's helped. It's what's helped others. And we got MK Bourne. Has he? What's he done?
He's crashing the pit.
He's crashing the pit lane. Safety car.
Yeah,
Safety car. Oh,
unbelievable.
no.
MK Bonnie just completely outbraked himself on the way to the pits, I think. I just saw him go with Mr. John there, that his car was deep in the barrier. He's gone straight on. He's done a Lewis Hamilton from 2007, only 10 times worse, and gone deep and straight into the barrier. Jordan now leads the race. John now second. What is going on in the pit lane? Where is TC? Has he rejoined behind Knighton? He has joined behind Knighton, and also still behind Splinter. But TC crucially now on 3 lap fresher tyres than Knighton, and not too far behind him. So that's a big gain for him. I suppose a big gain for Khalifa as well, who will also get to close up, having lost a lot of time. Although, though, 3 laps tyres on him. Indecisive picks up a drive-through penalty. It's all going on here in the early laps. So the safety car has been deployed. What does that mean for Jordan, though? That's another question.
Well, this is potential disaster because he was just past the pit lane when this is all going on. And, well, ideally he would have been straight into the pits if a safety car came out. And he's now going to have to be the guy that bunches the field out. What does he decide to do? He's got a good gap. He's still got 6.5 seconds to Mr. John, who would take the lead of the race as he fancy leading a few laps. If we get a stage point, if he can survive long enough. Yeah. Not that it really matters, stage points, but
there's no stage points in this race either.
Yeah.
He's lucky that Jordan's lucky that he's missed when he missed the pit lane because of the safety car. That the safety car wasn't already out, because if it was, he'd have had to have queued behind it, and then he'd have lost everything. But I think everyone's still maintaining the delta, so he can still come into the pits and probably not lose too much out of it. So I think Jordan might have just about got away with this one. Let's see what he does at the end of this lap. But we're going to have to take stock in a few moments' time when all these pit stops have unfurled, and we will finally see who has gained and who has not. But without doubt, TC is going to be happy because he's a lot closer to Knighton, who's lost the free pit stop that he gained with the virtual safety car. Khalifa, despite the damage, is going to be back in the contention again, although on older tyres than TC, his rival in front. But here is Jordan into the pit lane on those medium tyres, and surely he will stick a set of softs on that. No, he's putting a set of hards on it. Okay then. Well, that is a very interesting choice from Jordan. The Sheffield Wednesday fan with the Bournemouth livery this week, doing everything differently, isn't he? So Jordan back out onto track. Whereabouts? So that's the key. Is he ahead of Khalifa? No, he's behind, and that is a major dent for him.
Interestingly,
and things that are different, get your bingo cards out, because Frantagamo leads this race.
And he's on hard, so he's going to be out for a long time. This could really, again, throw this into a lot of chaos. He's still one of these drivers here. I'm saying, you really don't want to be trying to fight right now when you're in a fight for the championship. Pete's got drivers who aren't in contention surrounding him. He's got Frantagamo in the lead, who's going to have to somehow try and get past quickly. He's got Sprinter behind. Frantagamo might be a teammate, but he also is Frantagamo.
True.
He's going to be seeing stars right now. Oh my god, I'm in the lead. Oh, this is new. But TC as well. He might fancy this right now. He might not be too upset to see Frantagamo in the lead. He'll be enjoying this. He'll be enjoying every second.
I think he'll be absolutely delighted because he's now on the freshest tyres. He's behind Knighton on the road, but he's got fresher tyres than him by 3 laps. And Knighton, who looked like he was going to sprint off into the distance early on, and then especially when the VSC came out, is now all of a sudden maybe not the favourite that he once was. TC with the fresher tyres, although they will have to stop again, so that kind of takes that away a little bit from TC's advantage. But it's going to be interesting to see what happens after the restart, because as you guys mentioned, Frantagamo at the front, he's not too shy in going wheel to wheel, and let's see what Knighton does. Will he go for it, will he not? With simulation damage, it really is risk-reward, isn't it? It's going to be tough to see if it's really worth going for it. Splinter in there is certainly going to play a part in this battle, there's no doubt about it. And then you've got the likes of Khalifa, who at the minute looks like an outsider, as does Jordan. I'm just puzzled as to why Jordan opted for the hard compound. Can you guys shed on any light on why you think that might have been?
I mean, he could be using it to get rid of it and then pit again. He could just pit again, yeah. I think we have seen a few people try this tactic. Let's see. Will he just pit again?
Oh, sorry.
Oh, no, he won't, actually.
Do you have to fit all three? Do you have to fit all three?
No. He just pit twice, but some people have put the hardest tyre on and then gone straight back into the pit and put the mediums on, but he's going to stick with this. We'll see what he decides to do. Maybe he's banking on it being a long time between now and the next safety car, because realistically, we're probably going to be looking at the next pit stop being a safety car pit stop. But we'll see what he decides to do. If he's confident enough to go quickly, then he can. I just want to put into context just how difficult this could be. Frantagamo, he's difficult to pass, but his fastest lap is over 3 seconds slower than Khalifa's fastest lap, and then you got TC and Splinter as OK gets a 10-second penalty. He always gets those. It seems to be a weekly event for that for him. But then you got Splinter and TC at 2 seconds quicker than him as well. Pete, interestingly, not that much quicker, but he's probably not had many clean laps out there. But it just puts into perspective, this is a slow-ish driver when you compare him to the guys fighting in the championship right now at the very front. And it's not the longest main straight in the world, and not the easiest turn 1 to pass in the world. Yeah,
this is going to be very telling to see where Pete is mentally at the minute, speed nighting, because we've already seen when he was under a lot less pressure, he had a good gap to cars behind and a good delta to the cars in front, him getting out of shape while chasing cars that were a little bit slower. Now he's got TC, Splinter directly behind him, and he's trying to overtake a car that's a lot slower than him. Let's see how he copes with it. And I don't think there's any doubt he's going to be passing him, but let's see if he can make the move cleanly, make sure he doesn't make any mistakes, and allow the likes of Splinter and TC to get through. Because when I've commentated in so many league races, a lot of times when cars haven't pitted and the drivers behind are fighting, they sometimes find themselves on the wrong side of the car they're overtaking, and that allows the rivals that are actually racing to slip up the inside. The last thing you want, if you're speed nighting here, is to get caught on the wrong side of someone you're not racing. If you do, you're going to open the door to one of your rivals, and in this case, potentially TC, in a title-deciding race. The pressure is huge.
Right, here we go then. Safety car is coming in at the end of the lap. Let's see how these guys handle the restart. Of course, remember, Pete was side by side into turn 1 at the actual start and was sideways. He's been sideways twice. And as we get to the end of only the first quarter of this race, there's still so much yet to happen, and it's all about to kick off now. What is this restart going to be like for Fenagamu? Because he's almost going to catch the safety car, and he's going to have to slow it right down, and that's, he's went too early. Pete has hit him, he was going too early, Fenagamu, and well, there's nothing they can penalise him for there. It's going to be Pete the one that loses out here. He's not going to be happy in the slightest. The front wing is heavily damaged there. We saw what it did to Khalifa, the same type of damage. And now he gets through, Pete, but it's a bit late. I think TC's had damage as well. TC's broke the front wing too. What on earth is happening?
This is twisting one way then the other. Absolute madness. The safety car restart did not go to plan. Yes, what are you seeing, Jack?
I think Khalifa's got wing damage as well. I'm not sure. I can't get a good angle.
Let's have a look. He's coming in. Broken front wing as well. Incredible. They're all breaking their cars. What about Jordan? He's fine. Jordan's okay. So he's the only one that's not getting any damage. But he's now going right up the inside of indecisive Matt, who's going super slow. He's got a drive through to take, remember?
Has wing damage, by the way.
He's also got damage. They've all been hitting each other. What's been going on? And look at Mr. John on the inside. And they're all doing all sorts of crazy stuff.
I've got to say, guys, this is a really interesting dynamic now. Do you pit or do you not? Do each of the championship contenders realise that they've all got front wing damage apart from Jordan? Because of the situation, it doesn't matter if you finish 16th, 17th, 18th.
Virtual safety car, this could be their saving grace. And this could be exactly what they're looking for. They could get their pit stop now. Should have to change the front wing, but will the VSC last long enough? That was Yuri going off the track that spawned that at turn 13 once again. Surely Pete's going to be thrown into the pit lane as soon as he's allowed to with a delta.
I don't know. I don't know if he will. No, he stays out. I'm not surprised.
TC's pitting. So's Khalifa.
Oh, they're going for it. Unbelievable. But I can understand why Pete's doing it. He's going to try and battle on. He probably realised that TC and Khalifa have also got damage and thought, well, it's all about finishing higher in the race. And that's it. So if they pit, I'm going to have a huge gap to them, and that might be them out of it, even with fresh front wings. So I can understand what Pete's thinking. He's going to try and hold it out to his next pit stop, perhaps. This is crazy stuff. But the problem he's got is Jordan doesn't have damage. That's the key factor here.
Big thing to point out that TC, as we go green again, TC and Khalifa have done nearly the entire pit lane with VSC, and they're going to have a clear track ahead. If they are smart, they're not going to be fighting. I think Fenagamu's lost positions. He mustn't have been ready there on the restart. He's down to P3.
Yeah, but this is 6 going on at the moment as well, by the way. Mr. John blocking OKK, and Chris is on the back of these two. OKK's got damage and goes wide.
Like I say, it's a much different dynamic, because you can see there TC 13, 17 seconds off the nearest car. If Khalifa and TC are smart, they can maybe slipstream each other, make this work, because that's a big slide for Camo Bauer as he loses the position there to Dexter. But I can't believe we're seeing Jordan realistically, get yourself into position right now. I say we love an underdog story. This is all playing into place for him right now.
Yeah, the other thing we have to remember
Mr. John and Dexter have collided, and it's all gone wrong there. Will they all get out of there without any collisions later on? As Arno gets up to P3, I think we're all okay. No damage done, I don't think.
We also need to remember that Speed Knighton took a 10-second penalty when he ran into the back of the car in front as well, so that might be another reason why he never pitted. Didn't want to have to serve that.
Good
so
point.
he got a 10-second penalty when he crashed into the car in front, as well as the wing damage. So again, that might be another thing for the stewards to look at after the race, whether they think it will get removed or not, I don't know. Just a quick update, he's 27 seconds ahead of TC and Khalifa at the minute, so we'll have to see how that works out for him. But what a topsy-turvy race this is. I've never seen anything like it. Championship contenders falling by the wayside, left, right and centre. The only man that isn't is the outsider, Jordan, who's putting together a very solid race at the minute in 5th place. Unbelievable.
What I said at the very, very start of the season, nobody believed me, but at the very start of the season I said, anybody can win this title. Jordan come into this season as a reserve driver. He didn't have a full-time seat until he was in Austria. And now he's looking at a championship potentially.
And you know, we said at the start, there was the big three. There were, you know, Arnaud was one of the big three, and we all said, okay, he'll get there, he'll be fine. And he fell by the wayside, and we're seeing all the rest go as well. I still can't believe NK Bourne binned it in the pit lane. That's what's kicked all this off as well. NK Bourne's incident has inadvertently taken potentially everyone except Jordan out of contention, which is incredible to think about. We've got DRS now, by the way. As here comes Jordan.
Well, go on.
Jordan is on the back of Frenegamu. He's not really fancying the move though, actually, right now. Nor actually is Sprinter. Look at the braking power that Jordan's got though. He's so much more confident. He could actually have went for that if he knew how bad Frenegamu was. He's just got to be careful not to run into him. It should be a pretty simple move when he gets there, and yeah, it should be P4 eventually. Top two not getting too close through the first two corners. And Jordan, is he going to try the over and under there? There he goes. He's holding back. He's being cautious. Understandably so. I'm sure he's got someone telling him, Pete's got damage. Just keep this going. You've won the thing. But, yeah.
Well, that's the thing. It hasn't necessarily, because remember, TC and Khalifa served that pit stop under the VSC, and they can go to the end on those hard compound tyres. So Jordan is still going to have to overtake these TC and Khalifa. He's not. They're inside his pit window. So at the minute, TC and Khalifa will be back ahead of Jordan, and probably Speed Knighton as well when he pits with that wing damage. So these guys, Jordan and Knighton, are going to have to re-overtake TC and Khalifa the way things look at the minute, which is going to be fireworks towards the end of this race if that's the case.
Well, this is all building to Pete on Pete on soft or something, just flying through the pack, and he'll be chasing guys on hards. I hate to say it like this though, as Jordan gets by,
for the lead here. Hang on.
and
Sprinter. Yeah, Splinter's going to go breezing past without a problem. That is like Championship against Premiership. Easy stuff for Splinter, because Knighton has got a winded car and he can barely stop it for the hairpin, and he drops down to second place as we anticipated, and it's just the right thing to do from Knighton. No point in fighting it. That is not the man he's fighting in this championship today. He's got to just manage gaps, manage deltas, and that's all he needs to do at the minute, isn't it?
Exactly, but I'm just thinking the only thing that he's got to worry about, or really as we as an audience have to worry about, is that if he does get that penalty removed, as Khalifa and TC are slipstreaming each other, I imagine they aren't going to mind that as long as they don't fight it too hard, those two. But yeah, that penalty, I really hope it doesn't end up being a we'll find out after the race if you get it removed or not, but
looking back at it, it was Frenegamu who slowed on the exit of the final turn. So
well, the game stopped him because he
been able to react that. Yeah.
So it would probably get removed. It's a shame we don't have a live stewards panel just saying remove it. I don't know if you can quickly remove it yourself. No, I don't know if you've got the authority. Well, you probably do have the authority to do that.
I didn't see it clear enough, but we can certainly look at it afterwards.
Yeah.
It's not the ideal situation, but sometimes you've got to do that, haven't you? You've got to just kind of watch it back at the end, and we'll make a decision there and then. But Jordan, by the way, 8 tenths quicker than Knighton on that last lap. Will he get there before the pit stop phase comes round again. So will he get ahead of Knighton before it? That's the big question, isn't it, that we've got to ask ourselves as well. Knighton's tyres will start to struggle. He's been on those for 10 laps now, ever since the opening couple of laps. So let's see how it pans out for him. I'm just going to load up the gap to the leader again. TC and Khalifa catching Knighton now. The gap to the leader is 26 seconds roughly. TC off the back now of
Jess is holding him up so much, and Clyde's got by Jordan.
Okay, so
that's mediums against hard for you. And TC, as I said now, he was trying to get by Jess. Khalifa got it done early. TC lost about half a second now. He's like outside the DRS range of Khalifa, but he got it from Jess, so he should be able to get back in.
Yeah, so that will help TC. So he's now back onto the tail of Khalifa, hopefully, and he'll be able to get the slipstream and get that DRS. But they are catching Knighton. I mentioned earlier that it was about, what, 27, 28, 29 seconds. It's now down to about 24 seconds, the gap between Knighton and TC. And remember, Knighton needs a change of front wing as well, so there's absolutely no doubt about it. These guys will be ahead of Knighton when the pit stop phase comes in, and they're only going to get even closer and closer prior to that pit stop being made by Knighton, which I don't know how long away it will be, and I don't know what tyre he'll go for. What's he been on so far? Has he been on softs and then mediums? So what do you think? Will they go for a set of hards, come in early, or perhaps go for another set of mediums and stretch this stint out? What do you think?
I just wonder if he's going to wait for a safety car again and try and just stretch it out, because we've said it so many times, safety cars are so likely. You might just be better waiting and just praying, because it's a lose-lose either way right now. But if he gets a safety car, then he could salvage it. All he has to do is finish ahead of his challenge rivals. He doesn't have to win the race. He can finish 5th for all it matters.
Well, here comes Arno. He's going to come alongside him and breeze past, just like Splinter did a few moments ago. Through goes Arnold, and as you just mentioned, no point in fighting it. That's not a rival. And through goes Arnold and up into 2nd place, and he can go chasing after Splinter and try and make a fight of it at the front. But of course, that is not our main focus. It's all about this championship battle. We've lost one from this race so far in the form of MK Bourne, who done a Lewis Hamilton from 2007, only even worse. Didn't put it in the gravel, stuck it in the wall in the pit lane entry. But we still have 4 other drivers in contention. None of them have had it going their way, as Khalifa gets ahead of Mr. John into the braking zone at the hairpin. Textbook stuff. None of them have had it going their way. Khalifa's had problems, TC's had problems, Knighton's had problems. The only man that hasn't had any problems and has been making very steady progress has been Jordan, as Ferragamo finally makes that pit stop.
Here comes TC now, Mr. John. He's got to make sure that Khalifa doesn't get too far away right now, because he doesn't want to himself rely on penalties, because that's also a factor. We're on strict quarter cut, but look at that. That's a bit of front wing coming off one of them. I'm pretty sure it was Mr. John. Yeah. What are you doing, John? It's not your fight. Don't fight this one. You're ruining everything. We'll sack him.
He's entitled to go for it, isn't he? He bars himself alongside, slight contact there, and TC is going to have to try again on Mr. John. So John getting the elbows out. He said he's a strong defender, and he showed it there. Now TC is going to try and go right round the outside. Oh, that would be brave. That would be a move. And you know what? TC has done it, and the white and gold car breezes past up into 9th place. Mr. John can have no answer this time, and up into 9th place he goes. He's now 2.5 seconds behind Khalifa. Khalifa's done a great job negotiating that traffic. TC not so as well, and he's dropping off the back of Khalifa, and that could be key in the final results of this race on.
I thought Mr. John was hitting TC for a second. He was understeering so much through that with the front wing damage that he inflicted upon himself by getting himself involved in the fight, but luckily they just about got away with it. But yeah, Khalifa right now getting through that traffic, that's for him effectively in pole position to win this championship at the moment. He's doing all he needs to do right now.
I'm just wondering if Mr. John was holding TC up because he wasn't a teammate, and he let Khalifa go, obviously because they are teammates, not realising that the two of them were working together to get back towards the front. That's the only thing I can think of for why Mr. John would do that. But it's certainly helping Khalifa at this moment in time. I wonder if TC can catch back up.
Yeah, I think Khalifa will probably still be satisfied with that, given that it's now 3 seconds the gap back to TC now. So I think he's maybe thinking that's an opportunity to maybe eliminate TC from this battle for victory, because as we say so often, don't we, on this game, the slipstream in the DRS is so strong, and it can help you out. It can allow you to drag yourself back up. But TC's maybe Khalifa's maybe thinking, I might be far enough ahead here if Knighton pits and Jordan pits to stay ahead, because they're going to have to fight through so many cars that Khalifa's maybe thinking TC might be my main rival. But we'll wait and see, because frankly, we're just past halfway distance, and we still don't have a Scooby-Doo who's going to win this race or the championship.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. We are halfway through now. Jordan just about falling back on Clyde. He's got a pit light on. I'd be interested if he pits this early. I mean, you could do that and just put the mediums on, but I would have thought you might as well go on to soft. So that pit light might just be lying to us. But yeah, there's no reason to pit right now, surely, if you can just put soft something in. It just depends how long you can get them to go, really. If you're confident enough to get enough out of them in this short amount of time to be on them.
Knighton's in, Speed's in. Speed Knighton is in the pits, so let's see what he puts on. That looks to me like it'll be another set of mediums. He has opted just for the medium split, stretch this stint out and ensure he can put a set on, and in he comes in. Let's see where he rejoins. This is where his charge will begin. Will he have to set up the penalty in the stop? It doesn't look like he has had to, so that's okay. So Knighton will move away from his box now. Let's see where he rejoins, and is this a charge towards a title? Well, that's pretty much all it has to be now. He's got to put the boot down and go for it. He rejoins in 9th place behind TC and Khalifa, and now he's just got to go and go and go like hell. They want to become champion today. And
Khalifa's now catching up to Dexter. That could pose a bit of traffic for him. That could slow it all down. This is now time for Pete to show what he's worth, because we've got the three title contenders, Lyon and Stern. Or will it be Jordan, of course? Will he end up there? Because we've got to think, where's he going to end up in? Because he will probably be in that same train, because he wants to change the front wing. So he'll probably end up at about the same place as Pete is. It depends, though, whether he'll be on a quicker tyre or not.
I tell you what, if Jordan gets a safety car now, he will be absolutely delighted. Pete did everything he could there to stretch that stint out to 14 laps. Ideally, he'd want to split it 13-13 between the two stints, but he stretched that right out to 14 there, maybe trying to get a safety car, and then was a wee bit worried about the tyres falling off entirely, so had to come into the pits. If Jordan, on these hard tyres, can stretch it out longer and hope for a safety car later in the race, that maybe would hand him the keys to the championship. We'll have to wait and see, but certainly by going in the hards, it gives you a wider window of opportunity of landing a safety car at the right moment, doesn't it? As Arno comes into the pits as well now, and Jordan moves up to 3rd position.
Yep, it'll be 2nd as well in a second. And Khalifa's been able to get by Dexter pretty quickly, so there was no real problems with that for him. Where's Arno going to come out? He could end up in that fight with Pete, possibly. That could help, well, slow him down, actually. We'll see where he ends up. I know he's right at the end of the pit lane. Will he even get by ahead of Khalifa? He will be just behind. Just behind.
Yeah, Khalifa will be delighted. That's an extra car between he and Mr. Speed Knighton. So, yeah, Khalifa delighted with that. But at the minute, you've got to feel Speed Knighton is the man in the box seat. He's the man that can make this happen. He's Yellows. On the best tires. We've got a yellow in Sector 2. Now, if that becomes a safety car, a certain Jordan will be delighted by it. Who is it, though? I'm not sure. I
think it's gone. I think it must have been a very short excursion off the track for somebody, but it's all good now. Don't tease me like that, people. You can't do that to me. Can't do that to poor Jordan. He probably, his eyes must have lit up the second he saw that go yellow. Mine certainly did. That was making that look very interesting. But will Arnold make life difficult here for Khalifa? Because that, he surely will. He's on much better tyres.
Yeah, I think he'll.
He's doing. He got close.
I think the best option for Khalifa here is probably to let him go. I know it's an extra card of defence against Knighton, but let's be honest, there's so much quicker Arno that he'll be losing time, Khalifa, if he tries to fight him. And here comes Arno, and this is going to be very similar to what we've seen already from Knighton with other cars at the front of the field earlier in the race. He's just going to breeze past down the straight. Khalifa does not try and do anything about it. He's not even going to try in the braking zone to come back through. Arno up to 4th, Khalifa down to 5th, and that's one car closer to Speed Knighton. And speaking of Speed Knighton, he's now only 6 tenths behind TC, and it's just a matter of time before he passes him.
Jordan has taken the lead of this race. He's just going to be waiting for that safety car to pop up, because at the minute he might actually not end up coming out at the front ahead of Khalifa. He probably almost certainly won't actually, but it'll depend on the tyres that he's on. But look at this. Pete is now on the back of TC. This is the first big hurdle for him. Can he prove that he can get this done? If he can get through TC effectively and quickly, then this does give a bit of hope for him to get by Khalifa as well. Remember, I honestly, I'm going to ignore that the penalty exists, because frankly I'm almost certain it'll get removed. And so it's all about his racing ability. Look at that. He's cutting the corners to do that. That might be giving him warnings. You don't want to be giving yourself extra penalties when you're doing that. Don't be going for silly moves like that one.
I know it's difficult when you're in this situation because you don't know what's going on in front of you. You don't know the gaps of the championship rivals. But if Pete had the full view that like we've got right now, he knows he could take his time over this. But at the minute, I wasn't too sure if he was going to there. He went for the move up the inside into that hairpin, but in the end backed out of it. He just needs to wait for that DRS straight breeze past, and he should have TC in his back pocket, and that should cover TC. As having little chance of a championship, because it is all about what Speed Knighton does from this moment on. It really is. TC out of shape through there. He's almost rattled, and here comes Speed Knighton using that extra speed of the extra tyres and the DRS to breeze past the Belgian, and surely now move up into 5th position. And now surely it's all about passing Khalifa, and he will be in the box seat for this title. It's 5 seconds to the car in front. He's got 11 laps to do it, or 9 laps to do it, sorry. Can he do it? Things looking good for him at the minute.
Yeah, but this is a problem. If this is how quick he is, how quick's Jordan going to be on even newer tyres? And it could be the red marked softs. This is far from over with Jordan. He's absolutely going to be right up there too, as long as this all goes to plan. And once again, we'll say it again and again, safety car could do this for him too.
Gents, just to keep you informed, Pete has 2 warnings, Khalifa is on 3, TC has none, and Jordan also has none.
Wow, so TC and Jordan doing a very good job there in the warning count. That could be very, very, very important to the outcome of this Grand Prix. So Jordan out front, just stroking it home at the minute, just waiting for that time to make the pit stop. He must be praying like mad for a safety car at the minute. If it doesn't come, the question is, can he make up the time? There's no doubt about it. He's going to drop down to, I'd say, maybe 7th position at the very least. Is he going to be able to come fighting back through in time on those soft tyres? We'll have to wait and see, but that is certainly the way it's looking at the minute. At the minute, I think Speed Knighton has got TC and Khalifa covered. He's not past Khalifa yet. You don't know. You never know in a championship battle, but you would think he would have them covered, and his big concern would be Jordan. I don't know if you guys agree. I mean, you probably do agree, but you can't say it because you just don't know what's going to happen next in JACKOCAR, do you?
Well, this is just it. We have no clue. As Clyde now gets by TC, his championship chances, the Belgian falling apart at the minute with all these guys on new tyres. He could do with a safety car as well. He probably wants off those hards. And Khalifa, having lost 2 seconds on that last lap to Pete, is probably thinking the exact same thing. I need off these tyres. But you can't.
But he just can't. It's almost as if he's stuck with this now, and he's got to run to the flag. That's all he can do, almost. Even a safety car, I don't think it would help him. He's only got 8 laps to make the places back up. So I think he's just got to run with it and hope that Speed Knighton runs into penalty troubles or just can't get past him. But given the pace difference, I think that's very, very unlikely at the minute. So things going well for him as we still wait on Jordan's pit stop. Is he just going to run this? I mean, how much longer can he run it? Because there's a balancing act to be had here. Does he pit and fit the softs to get the maximum out of them? Or does he keep going and keep going and keep going and keep going until the safety car comes? But if he keeps going to lap 25 and the safety car doesn't come, he's going to get no use out of the softs, isn't he? He needs to make a decision soon. He
needs to be aware that when he pits, he needs to be able to be sure that he can catch them but not have the tyres fall off as well. He's a balancing act right now. I'm sure he's got a number in his mind for when he pits, and if it's a safety car, fantastic. If not, oh well, let me just do this properly. I mean, this could be the pit lap now. I mean, 8 laps on the start, so you could say that's doable, but let's have a look. Let's see what he decides to do. He's seen that ARS up a lot as well, so it feels like he's preparing for when he does his out lap. He will fly away down the grid, but he's not doing it at the moment. And he's lost nearly 8 seconds in very short succession to Splinter, and that's on his very new tyres. I mean, I don't really know it's worth staying out here this much longer now. He's too slow.
I'd be in at the end of this lap. To be honest, I'd have been in at the end of the previous lap. I mean, I don't know what the tyre life is on these tyres, but I thought you'd have got 8 laps out of them. But certainly at the end of this one, Jordan should make that call. I mean, it looks like the safety car gamble isn't going to pay off for him at the minute. There's obviously at this stage of the race, 21 laps in, going to be a bit more of a field spread, and the safety car likelihood becomes even less likely. Interestingly, Speed Knighton, what's that, 3.3 behind Khalifa, maybe not catching him as quickly as we maybe have thought. We'll have to wait and see if he gets there, but he's got 7 laps to do that, and you would expect he will, but we'll have to wait and see. But you know, if they do end up getting into a battle, Khalifa and Knighton, that's another thing that will aid Jordan's cause when he does come charging through on those softs, isn't it?
It may also throw TC back into the mix if those two collide like they did at the start of lap 1, like they did in Austria, and a couple of other races they've touched each other as well. So
Khalifa tends to be in accidents when he's fighting for the big positions so often. Wasn't it Brazil as well he had stuff go wrong?
Brazil, Abu Dhabi he went wide, and all sorts of races he's had problems. He crashed out in Monza.
This is going to be like a last 5 lap affair. It's not like he's going to be a routine overtake. Khalifa will be fighting this one hard. He's got roughly the same ERS, if not just a bit more. So he would have enough to fight with. It's just whether he can on those tyres, because Pete's tyres will still be looking very nice. Surely it's pit stop time. It is pit stop time. Jordan, how far is he going to fall? That's the big question.
It's going to be 7th anyway, but it's just how far back from TC is he going to be at the end of this. With 6 laps to go, he's really going to have to be catching them at 2-3 seconds a lap. I think he might have just left it a little bit too late. We'll see when he comes out. So here goes Jordan with that Bournemouth style livery on the car.
He's miles back, but the fact is the whole grid are actually starting to close in on each other. You're going to have Spencer and Arnaud for the lead, and then Khalifa and Pete for their championship. There's potential for that to all make it close up, and Jordan, you'd expect him to be 2 to 3 seconds a lot quicker, honestly, on these tires anyway. And how far is he off where he needs to be?
12 seconds to get ahead of Knighton.
15 seconds off. I don't really think he can do that in this amount of time, but we'll see. We could be proven wrong. You just never know. The point is, the main guy he's chasing is actually on the hards, and will be going even slower than he was when he was at the end of his stint.
To be honest, and I know Knighton's not ahead of Khalifa yet, I still think Jordan should be looking at the gap to Knighton, not Khalifa, because I think come the end of the race it'll be Knighton ahead of Khalifa. So I know it's a moving target at the minute, but I really think that his best bet is to try and close the gap to Knighton. But with Knighton on 6-lap old mediums, they're not that bad, those tyres. He's got to find, what, 12 seconds almost, 11 seconds to catch Knighton in 6 laps. That is an enormous amount. I really do agree with Jack. I think a safety car's his only hope, or if these guys run into each other, or get involved in a massive battle. But at the minute, it's not looking good for Jordan. It's an outside bet. At the minute, it's Khalifa versus Knighton, you've got to say. But as Jack's mentioned, Khalifa and Knighton are on the brink of penalties. TC and Jordan can maybe go flat out for another couple of laps and push the limits of those penalty boundaries, couldn't they?
They absolutely could. Jordan on this lap only gaining about 1.5 seconds, but that's his out lap. He's used about half his ERS though. And, well, the gap's now, actually, in all fairness, that's to the leader I'm talking about. It's more sort of about 12 seconds now to Khalifa. Oh, I don't know what's going to happen here. That actually isn't bad to take that from 15 to 12, is it? On the out lap. Oh.
It's a lot, but I don't think he's going to do it. I just don't think he's got enough in it to do it. I think the tyres will be dead by the time he gets there, if he even gets there. I mean, if he's not taking 3-4 seconds out of a lap of them now, he won't be getting there in time to come the end, because we know how little performance you get out of the softs. They don't last long enough unless he can keep gaining at that rate all the way to the end of the race. I don't think he's going to get there, but best of luck to him if he can. And any hope of a safety car, it's going to diminish in the next couple of laps. So he needs that right now if he's going to get that hope or that help. Right now it looks like it's going to be Khalifa versus Knighton, and Knighton is now right within the sights of Khalifa. He's got him in his crosshairs and he's going to be attacking very, very soon.
Yeah, but Clyde is also in this, and he could create a few difficulties as well. Pete might well be in DRS in the next lap, and as I say, that would be 5-lap shootout for the championship. My goodness. And this will be fought super hard. This will be fought super hard. No, for not 1 second, anyone should expect Khalifa just to move over. I just hope people haven't told him about this penalty, and they'll think, oh, it's fine, he can go, because I really hope he's been kept up to date with what's going on. That's the thing I'm worried about, actually.
Well, he's done 15 laps on these hards. The other question is, will he even get to the end? I don't know if you guys have got a better idea than me on tyre life, but 19 laps it will be at the end on hard tyres. Is that sustainable? Will they get to the end?
They'll be fine. They should be okay.
They'll be fine. But will they be in a competitive state to fend off Speed Knight? And that's the other question. 8/10's the gap, and Khalifa is going to be running out of rubber very, very soon.
But we
How's
know
Jordan getting on? 10 seconds off them, 11 seconds. It's not happening for him.
it's not happening at all for him, is it? He didn't even set a fastest lap on that time, Ryan. Just not happening for him right now. We just know how much pressure Pete is feeling, though. We saw what he was like earlier on with the slower cars. Oh, what is this gonna be like? Will this be a simple? Will this be a simple one and done, or is this gonna be a lot more complicated?
Well, I tell you what I think. I think he's going to breeze past him on this straight, but I think Khalifa is going to be a hell of a lot more aggressive on the brakes than he was with Arno earlier on in this Grand Prix. So let's see then. Speed Knighton getting a fantastic run as you'd expect, coming off that bank curve, and now down that 1 mile long straight. He's in the slipstream. He's now opened up the DRS. He's surely got in the back. Khalifa defends to the inside. Here comes Speed Knighton steaming down the outside. How late will Khalifa brake? 38 is the answer. Does he get a stop for the corner? He does. Extra tyre grip and breezes past up into potentially a championship winning position. Key move there on lap 25.
He's got no ERS though. Khalifa could surprise him into turn 1. Look at the run he's got.
Goodness.
Will he throw this at the inside? Pete Slit! Outside he goes! And that's not going to work. He's too wide there. But Pete now is the one under pressure because he's used all his ERS, Andy.
Well, he's threw all his eggs in the one basket, but surely with that extra grip in the tyres, it will be enough. 16 laps he's been on these tyres, Khalifa, and you can see it there. He's galloping away down that short straight, and has he finally negotiated the danger? If he can build that gap for the middle sector, where you would think he would on those tyres, to above a second, it should be job done. But Khalifa is still clinging on there on this hard compound, which is a credit to him, because these tyres must be absolutely finished. Let's see them for the middle sector. Knighton not able to pull it away with little DRS. Khalifa is going to get one more chance, I would think, and having a run down the straight. The back end all over the place. He's still going to be close enough though for one lunge with the DRS, and it might not be enough to make a move, but it will certainly be enough to have a go and threaten Knighton on the brakes.
He might just have got away with this Pete there. Khalifa's lost half a second through the corner. He does get DRS, but he's too far back now. I think this is Pete's title now to lose. Only 3 laps to hold on.
He's very close to the penalty threshold as well, though, Pete, isn't he? Khalifa is also, so he needs to be careful about that, because it may allow Khalifa back in the door. Let's look at Jordan's progress. It's still not happening. He's not finding the pace on the softs. TC's well out of this. He's been out of it for a while now. It's all about these two, and at the minute, Knighton has the title in the palm of his hand. Khalifa again with the DRS, but again it's a second, and it's only going to get bigger through the tight and twisty sections and the traction zones. So Knighton surely has this in his back pocket, providing he doesn't pick up a time penalty.
Yeah, I can't see him losing it now unless there is a penalty involved, as Whiteout and Cameron will get quite close. Again, a bit of lag for Whiteout, may have to difficult to fight. Any accidents now aren't going to bring out a safety car. We're in the last 3 laps now, so it's all going to just be down to penalties. Who would have thought we'd see a title come down to that? I'm saying that though, I mean, Pete isn't actually clear yet. 6 tenths of the gap, but we know how much he struggles in turn 13, Khalifa. If he can nail it this time, then you never know. He can and will lunge if it's a chance.
Another thing I should mention here is I've been talking about Khalifa's tyres falling off. The mediums don't last as long as the hards, so the longer Knighton goes, the smaller that delta will get between the difference of the tyres. So let's see how he actually is at the end. And Knighton's had Khalifa's had a much better run this time coming out of the corner. Still not close enough, I don't think, to make a move. Well, let's see then as he goes down the straight. Knighton immediately defends the inside. Khalifa not entertaining the slipstream, which I'm a bit surprised about. Is he just going to build this up for a late lunch? Does he think that Knighton's tyres will fall away quicker than his? We'll have to wait and see, folks, but don't go anywhere. This is going to get very, very dramatic.
Look how late he could go on the brakes there, Khalifa. He was saving the ERS. He's going to try and build this up. He wants to have a real go at it at the final lap, and he's going to make sure he's got enough ERS to do so. And Pete's out of it. He's out of ERS completely. This is all going to be into the last hairpin on the final lap. Pete's all over the show right now. This is for the championship, folks. I know that Pete's got a penalty, but he'll almost certainly have it taken off. So as far as we're seeing this is going to be settled on the track, hopefully. Let's hope there's no penalties getting involved. I want to see these go side by side. And do you know what, Khalifa? He's staying right on his pace of his fastest time.
I am so impressed with Khalifa's grit and determination to stay in this one. There must be no rubber left. He must be down at the canvas on those tyres, but still he battles on, and he's just dragging Speed Knighton back into this one by sticking in the slipstream, using the DRS very well as well. But you can tell that Speed Knighton is a lot quicker in that middle part of the lap. Khalifa dropping back again. He just struggles off that banked corner, does Khalifa. If you can just get it right once, or on the final lap, he might just have a chance. Well, let's have a look then. 6/10, he's closer than he was again on the last lap, and this is a genuine opportunity for Khalifa to come back. But I don't know if he wants to do it here, because he would get a sitting duck on the final lap. So let's see, Khalifa, he's not going for it. He's not going for it. He's holding it. Final lap. Paul McGinnis mentioned in that chat earlier on, we might see a Timo Glock moment. I tell you what, Paul, you might be absolutely right.
Well, Jeff, I was speaking to Khalifa earlier in the week. He said to me he wants to do it on lap 28 and overtake Pete. I'll even show you the private message if you want to see it.
Right, here we go.
Saving this final lap of JACKOCAR Season 1. It's Khalifa versus Pete.
Let's just point this out then. Pete is out of ERS. His tyres are falling off right now.
Oh my goodness.
And Khalifa has got nearly 50%. It's over 50% now. He's been able to stay close. Will the tyres hang on? Will Pete hang on? What's this going to be like into the hairpin? Because you've got to remember, if anything goes wrong with these two, TC is still well within a position to go for it. They've hit each other. They're really pushing it so hard. Look at the sliding.
I was just about to say that there. TC will be praying for contact up the road, because there's so much at stake here between these two. All these rounds, all these races in the championship. That's a big slide for Khalifa. The tyres must be giving up, but the gap is still 4 tenths. No, it's going up to 7 tenths. Is that a key moment in the title? He will have enough DRS though. Surely to have one big.
Pete has two. He's got more than up as well.
This is the biggest corner of the season for Khalifa. He needs an absolutely monumental exit coming out of here. It looks decent, but it isn't enough. Now then, here we go. Take it away, Owen.
Here we go. It's Khalifa on the DRS. He's going to have everything. And we've got a bit of weaving going on from Pete. Oh, he's just not going to do it. It's just not going to be close enough here. Khalifa, unless he throws it into the final corner, that slide in turn 8's costing the title by the looks of it. Splinter's won the race. Well done to him. But here comes Pete round the final corner. There's no way through for Khalifa. Your champion is Pete in Season 1. Ignore the penalty. It will almost certainly be removed. And Pete hasn't bottled it for once. Pete is your champion in Season 1. And boy, was it close. I just hope, I just hope Khalifa doesn't look at that and think, oh, I've won. Because, yeah, I'm almost sure the penalty will be taken off. That's up to the stewards, but I'm sure it won't happen. Khalifa then will finish second in the championship then in the playoffs. We've got TC third in that. Then you have Jordan and obviously NK Boney retired. But Splinter, I haven't seen you all race, but you've won the race. Well done to him. Got to give him credit. He's controlled that actually the whole way through. And has taken opportunity. I said he was on the front row, and he's been able to take advantage.
Yeah, hats off to Splinter. Great job getting the victory, but as always in championship battles, the attention switches elsewhere. Well done to Speed Knight, and should that penalty be removed, he's done the job. All the drivers had ups and downs today. Jordan didn't have any really, but he just didn't have the pace to match the others. We had front wing damage for TC, front wing damage for Knight, and front wing damage for Khalifa. We had MK Born in the barriers early on out of the championship hunt. I'm sweating in the commentary box. I don't even want to know what the drivers are feeling like at the minute. Absolutely brilliant race, drama from start to finish. A great advert for JACKOCAR and for this format, because I love it. It's such a fantastic battle in the final race. It's like everyone being level on the same points get into the last race, and it really is brilliant. It puts so much pressure on the drivers, and in the end, Speed Knighton is the man that comes out on top. Great stuff. Really enjoyed it.
We've got a donut show going on. We've got Indecisive and we've got Jess giving it some. And I think that's actually the winner going to come and take them out now in a second. They've got to move out of his way. But yeah, well, Jess has binned it.
Do we give a little bit of credit to Jamie as well for winning that race? I know he went under the radar, but a cracking race from Splinter.
Oh, that's in the wall. Then I think we need to give these guys some lessons in donuts. They keep hitting the walls, but celebrating the end of a very successful first season. They went right down to the very end. That's the way you want to see it. And Whiteside's been given penalties post-race. Don't quite know how that's possible, but there you go. Safety car, actually, as well. Because, of course, Just that's the season summed up. That really, we got a safety car after the race.
Yeah, it's a bit late. It's a bit late for Jordan's hopes, isn't it?
Jordan will be smashing his screen to pieces seeing that. Oh my goodness! What a race! What a tense finish!
Yeah, I'm just so glad it went to the wire.
Such a shame that slide happened though for Khalifa. If only that'll be what he's thinking. If only that hasn't happened.
Yeah, he was asking so much from his tyres. I'm actually so impressed they got as much out of them up to that very point. But, you know, into turn 8, the most stressful part of the racetrack for these tyres. And if you do 19 laps on a set of hards in a championship battle and you throw the car into that corner, you know, the tyres on this occasion chose not to agree with him and not to turn in, which is a real shame because he battled so hard. But that slide, perhaps he will be thinking and kicking himself that he didn't take that corner a little bit more cautiously. But you can totally understand why he went for it. He needed to get as close as he could. In the end, it wasn't to be, and Speed Knighton held on despite the pressure to take the title.
Right, let's see the provisional order then, because it will almost certainly change. Spencer won the race, that'll stay fine. Seamus Arnold second, Khalifa third, that'll be replaced by Pete, and then it'll be Khalifa fourth, Cloud 5th, TC 6th, then Jordan 7th, Cam Abbott 8th, Whiteout 9th, and Dexter 10th, then Frenagami 11th, OKK 12th, Mr. John, Yuri, Jess, and Indecisive your last finishers. Although Jess, well, she didn't actually finish, she binned it. That's why the safety car, you can see the safety car going around there, look. MK Bourne retired, as well as Cam after that massive dive bomb from Dexter at the very start. I know we're saying that the penalty will get removed. We can sort of say that there's a chance it'll stay, because it was Frenagami's fault that we went too early on the safety car restart and the car slowed down on it. It's meant to do that, he went too early. But we'll see what happens. I'd be very surprised if it...
All we can say is just keep an eye on the JACKOCAR Twitter for the meantime, but as it stands I would say Pete is your champion before we look at it.
Yeah, I can see Thomas or TC there in the chat saying that's a great brake check from Frenagami, so he's maybe not feeling too happy as well about Frenagami. But anyway, that is going to conclude the first season of proper racing. I know we've got the 5-lap championship coming up soon, don't we? I believe that'll be streamed.
Yep, next week streamed. Luke and Austin are your commentators for that, as myself and Owen will be on track.
I know. God help me, I'll be on track. We are trying to get special guests as well, but I mean, is it really a surprise if we try and get the one we want? But yeah, I guess keep your eye out for that one as well. I hear Jet was in negotiations with a certain someone, but we'll find out on that one.
I've got to say, guys, what a great format, what a great race. Really enjoyed that. It's something totally different, it's unique, we don't see it often in the Formula 1 game, but that race there with 5 drivers going for it, you just didn't know where to look, and it really did offer some great drama, some great racing. The fact that they've all got to pit twice as well, it left me as a commentator for once bamboozled at times, because you just didn't know what to expect. You know, we're so used to one-stop races, and it just added an extra bit of drama to it as well. I thought it was fantastic. But I just want to end and ask you guys, who was the driver of the day today? I mean, you know, you want to focus on the championship drivers, but I'm going to give it to Splinter. I thought he did a great job, but we've got to shine a light on him, don't we?
Well, yeah.
Go on, Owen.
He absolutely controlled that race. I think that's his second win of the season, is it?
Yeah, he won Singapore. As well.
So I mean, you could argue Singapore was a bit of a lucky win because half the grid got killed, but this time, fully on merit, qualified second, would have been on pole if we didn't invalidate it, and really he absolutely controlled it from the second it all started to go wrong for his rivals, and fully deserved win. Yeah, certainly my driver today. I'll give it that.
Yeah, I'd agree. Jamie, number 1, easy. But with that, I think we should close the season off, don't you, gents? Andy, thank you for coming. Owen, thank you very much for being a part of this for season 1.
No problem.
Ladies and gentlemen, we'll see you on July 23rd for season 2.
Yes. It'll be bigger and better on our new game. Who knows what we'll find there. Do feel free to come back, by the way, at any point, Andy. We very much enjoyed having you here. And, yeah. We'll all see you next season. Or we'll see you on track next week if you fancy watching that as well. Like I say, Luke and Austin for that. But, yeah. We'll leave it for you. Cheers for watching. And, safe travels, everyone. Stay safe. All the good stuff.